students, today we will discuss suitability of water for irrigation or quality of water for irrigation. So first of all, when we talk about the quality of water, it is described in the different forms like content of total soluble salts or sodium absorption ratio or the boron content. TSS means total soluble salts represents the amount of salts present in the water like calcium carbonate, sodium carbonate, calcium chloride, like that, which ultimately have detrimental effect on soil, particularly soil physical properties, that is its availability of nutrients and aeration, all that. Also sodium absorption ratio in later stages, as sodium replaces the calcium and magnesium, soil becomes sodic, and also water from that area is sodic in general, and that is calculated by this formula, sodium divided by under root Ca plus Mg upon 2. So TSS, when we talk about TSS less than 1.5 represents normal water, whereas 1.5 to 3 is low salinity, 3 to 5 medium. These two groups A2 and A3 can be recommended for the light and medium soils. And also 5 to 10 where it is having upper range, and in light and medium soil also we have to be careful, and in heavy soils it cannot be recommended. And above 10 it is not at all suitable for the use high salinity water, and we can't recommend this type of water for the irrigation. Second one is B1 to B5 classification on the basis of SAR, sodium absorption ratio. Below 10 is normal water. Water in between 10 to 20 and 20 to 30 can be recommended for light and medium textured soils, but 30 to 40 is very harmful. We have to be very careful when we are using it for light and medium type of soil. Also with certain measures we can use it, and for heavy soils also we have to be very careful. And above 40, which is a high sodic soil, sodic water, is not at all recommended. In case of boron content, as it is harmful for particularly for animals and plants, it's higher levels. So less than 3 is normal water, 3 to 4 and 4 to 5. In case of clay and medium textured soils, we can recommend. But 5 to 10 again we can use with certain measures, and above 10 we can't recommend this type of water for use. Means according to the content of these three factors, we classify the water and we decide whether to recommend its use or not, and what measure should be applied. As we know, due to the bad quality of water, there is poor growth of the plants. Many times a plant have delayed maturity, stunted growth we observe in these areas because of the toxic levels of chlorides, carbonates. There is a little bit difficulty of availability of other nutrients also, particularly nitrogen, phosphorus and zinc. This leads to toxic levels of the certain nutrients also, and also unavailability of many nutrients. This leads to bad effect on the crop growth. Many times there is toxic levels in the plants are observed, particularly of chlorides, and this is not good for the crop. So what measures we should recommend? Here certain amendments are there which are recommended, particularly gypsum. In case of non-calcareous soils, we recommend gypsum as compared to the other chemicals, as its cost is low, its effect is good. So rather than ferrous sulfate and calcium carbonates, we recommend gypsum for the amendment. In case of calcareous soils, elemental sulfur is recommended, or the other content of sulfur, because sulfuric acid or other chemicals are highly reactive and cannot be recommended for the soils. So elemental sulfur is the best solution in case of calcareous soils, which can remove the extra salts, and that water in that area can be used in better way. Because of the continuous use of this water, we have to treat these soils with these amendments. In case of irrigation management, there are certain techniques, that is use of drip irrigation, shallow irrigations are more fruitful. Also one flood irrigation is very important. with proper drainage facility. Means if drainage is there and we have a flood irrigation at initial levels, because initial crop growth is hampered due to the saline water or due to the poor quality of water. So with drainage facility, we can drain out these bad elements and have the better soil for the growth of the crop. So in case of different crops, we have to see that the type of crop, stage of crop are very important. Particularly tolerant crops like barley, turnip, sugar beet, barley, turnip, sugar beet are the tolerant crop. Also cotton. In case of semi-tolerant crops, we can recommend crops like sorghum, pearl millet, finger millet, castor are some of the crops which are called as semi-tolerant crops. If we choose these type of crops, also the stage of the crop is also important. Particularly during the germination stage, crops are sensitive, and so that we have to be a bit careful during the early period, having the flood irrigation, proper use of the water, shallow irrigations can save our transplanting is one of the mechanism, so that early stage we can avoid. Also, in case of the ridges, rather than planting at the top or sowing at the top or dibbling at the top, we recommend to have the use of this technique, that is at the middle of the ridge. We recommend to have the dibbling of the seeds to avoid the damage of the source which can go up during the evaporation and it is accumulated at the top of the ridge. So this is also one of the technique to avoid the bad effect of the quality of water. Also, due to the other technique, that is drainage, is one of the way to solve this issue. There are certain other chemicals which can remove the certain salts from the water, but that is highly difficult. Also, it is costly affair. Certain chemicals are in the market which can be used to remove the salts from the water. Nowadays they are there, but there are certain limitations. So with these simple techniques, with the use of organic matter also, we can easily use this water up to A1, A2 and A3 with certain measures. But for A4 and A5, we have to be very careful when you are using the water. So this is all about this chapter.